A plane painted green-white-green with Nigeria Air logo landed in Abuja Airport towards the ending days of the then-President Muhammadu Buhari regime. The plane sparked a lot of debates and curiosity to know if the plane belongs to Nigeria or not. Quickly, observers were able to notice the registration tag on the plane belongs to Ethiopian Airlines. Another confusion came in from the presidency or Buhari government officials. Bashir Ahmad, then Special Assistant to President Muhammadu Buhari on digital communications, tweeted a message with a link of aviation news media claiming that the Nigeria government entered a partnership business with Ethiopian Airlines to run the Nigeria Air carriers. Adding, the plane painted green-white-green with the Nigeria Air logo was the first batch of the long-anticipated Nigeria Air carriers. But the managing director of the yet-to-be-launched Nigeria Air, Captain Deo Olumide, on Tuesday confirmed before National Assembly members that the aircraft painted green-white-green that landed in Nigeria towards the ending of Buhari-led government was a chartered aircraft from Ethiopia, hired for few days to showcase the logo to Nigerians and their shareholders how the Nigeria Air carriers will look like when fully in operation. Captain Deo Olumide made the revelation when he appeared before the Senate Committee on Aviation to clarify on the controversies surrounding the airline, which was launched a day to the expiration of Muhammadu Buhari-led administration.
The aircraft that came in and left was a legitimate charter flight. Any one of us here, if we have a destination wedding in Senegal, we can charter an aircraft. You don't need to have a license to do that. You just charter an aircraft. And the aircraft, you pay for it, it'll be brought here, take your passengers, and off you go. And that is what we did. But in this case, it was to unveil, you see, ever since 2018, all you'd ever seen about Nigeria Air aircraft were pictures, drawings, not the real aircraft. And we felt it was time to show what the real aircraft would look like, and also to let shareholders, you see, we have institutional investors. They're not in aviation, but they're putting their money in here for, say, 10, 15 years and to exit maybe at a premium. So they need to see what the actual aircraft will look like. So we brought it in here to show them what the aircraft will look like. Then the social media dimension came into it, and I'll address them point by point. One, it's Ethiopian registered. Why is it Ethiopian registered? Well, for a start, to operate aircraft in Nigeria, they must be Nigerian registered. 5 November, we call it. Okay? That aircraft was not 5 November registered because it was a charter flight. And it came in with just a few days clearance and off it went. For us to get this license, which is my mandate, I don't want to use technical terms, we must, amongst other things, have 3 aircraft before this NCA will give us a license. And those 3 aircraft must be Nigerian registered aircraft. There are 5 phases, 5 steps that one goes through to get this license. 5. We've gone from the first one to the second one. But the problem is that when you change what we call post holders, you're a post holder, for example. All of you are post holders on the committee. Post holders in aviation is a technical term for director of maintenance, chief pilot, all those type of things. When you change them and replace them completely, you have to go back to phase 1 to interview them. They have to be interviewed to be compliant and acceptable to the authorities, to the Civil Aviation Authority. But having gone back to phase 1 doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. That is the correct and normal process. So when this aircraft came in on a charter flight, everybody said, we have launched Nigeria Air. And I thought this was very interesting because there are learned people in the aviation industry who could have countered that when social media came out, but they chose not to. But that's fine, I'm here to explain. It was just a charter flight, and then there were other stories that the passengers on the aircraft going back to Ethiopia were paid passengers. We sold tickets to them. For your information, those passengers were staff of Ethiopian Airlines that we brought here just to show them, because the aircraft is their aircraft. It's registered in their aircraft's name. It's their aircraft. So we brought them here, and at the end of the unveiling, they went back with their aircraft. Nobody sold any tickets to anybody. Then there was the issue of launching the airline. You see, they brought the aircraft. There's no ticket counter in Lagos. There's no ticket counter in Enugu and so on. Yeah, of course now. We haven't got a license yet to operate. If you had asked me the question, I could, not you, I mean, if the social media had asked me the question, I would have said, we haven't got to that stage yet. We're doing the proper process of one after the other to get to this point where we get the license. We've done the first part, which is to get an air transport license. Again, on social media, some people have been pushing the air transport license, which is one of 2 licenses, and saying, see, NCA gave them license to fly. They didn't do anything. They got a license. That is an air transport license, which doesn't permit you to carry operations on commercial services. In terms of was it necessary, it was not necessary a long time ago, but it was necessary at this time because of the negativity that was going out in social media, that Nigeria Air was a fake conjecture. However, it then raised more questions when it came in, because people said the airline has been launched. It was merely to unveil the logo on a real aircraft so that the media could take pictures of a real aircraft. But in terms of its bearing on the process of the license, no.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives condemned the Nigeria Air launch as fraudulent. Chairman of the House Committee on Aviation, Nolim Naji, made this declaration after major stakeholders involved in the deal between the federal government and Ethiopian Airlines denied any knowledge of the launch. Also, Dr. Emmanuel Meribole, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Aviation, mentioned the possibility of paying the trapped aviation funds in installments.
Block funds is not only from Federal Ministry of Aviation. What we normally do is we write to the CBN and present it to them, and we had actually worked out something in the past where it will be paid instrumentally. However, because of the situation on ground, I don't think that has been honored. I think last 2 months we also did write to them again, reminding them about it, and also we wrote to Mr. President towards the final days of the last administration in relation to that. We've been engaging with CBN to see how they can even start paying
Captain Deo
instrumentally.
also said that the aircraft that came and left was a legitimate chartered flight which can be done by anyone who doesn't have a license as long as you pay for it. Adding that, for Nigeria to operate an aircraft, the aircraft must be Nigeria registered. Captain Deo said, the particular aircraft that was unveiled was not registered and came into Nigeria with a few days clearance from Ethiopia and was returned after use. Furthermore, he stated that Nigeria only has airport license, which is one of 2 licenses required for operating an airline and does not permit one to carry out commercial services operations. Adding, for Nigeria Air to get the needed license, Nigeria must have 3 aircraft before the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority will give the country a license to fly, and the 3 aircrafts must be Nigeria registered aircrafts. Accordingly, he said there are 5 phases or steps one must go through to get the license, and Nigeria is still in phase 1 of the process. The MD refuted the reports that the passengers on board bought tickets. That the passengers were staff of Ethiopia Airline that were brought in and at the end of the unveiling went back with their aircraft to Ethiopia. Captain Deo, with 40 years' experience in airline operations, further confirmed that he was appointed in February 2022 to secure the air operating certificate for the airline to fly and not to operate the airline. He added that Nigeria is not at a point of operating the airline yet, as Nigeria Air does not have terminal for international operations.